Hey y'all, welcome back to the Need Disciples. My name is Philip, this is Jeremy. We have an exciting show for you today. We are on location at Jeremy's bar called The Dugout. Today we're going to talk about faith. We're going to do a weeded bourbon blind, and we're going to make a cocktail called the Twist on a Mint Julep, since we are right now with just coming out of Derby season. So stay tuned, we got a lot of great content coming, and hope you enjoy the show. So today we're going to talk about faith. This kind of stems around Hebrews 11. You referenced it as the Hall of Fame.
Faith Hall of Fame.
The Faith Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm. The faith chapter or whatever.
Yeah. So, and I think that's a really good kind of summation about faith, an example of faith. So by definition, actually, first verse in Hebrews 11, now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. And I think for non-believers, that's hard. Like, hey, why should I believe in a God that I can't see, or believe in a Savior that I can't see or touch? And there's a lot of things we can't see that we believe in.
Yeah, right. That's what I was thinking. On one hand, it makes sense, with those that have a hard time believing because you can't see God, you can't feel God physically. Obviously we can get in if we want to get into it, how we do feel him and how we are convinced and so on and so forth. But to their point, I can't touch him, I can't talk to him and hear him, so on and so forth. And so it makes sense. But to your point, every time we sit on a chair, we trust that the thing's going to bear our weight, right? Or that whenever we get into a car, we trust that the seatbelt's going to do its job. Or when we get on an airplane, we trust that the pilots are going to do their job. And so we don't think about it, because I think we take a lot of things for granted. But we do put our trust and faith in on a daily basis. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love your analogy of the chair. As a bigger guy, I don't put a lot of trust in chairs. Like, depending on what they look like, I'm not going to sit down because I know better. But
you have to be wise and discerning. Yeah,
exactly. But I think a lot of people get hung up is like, why believe in something I can't see? Or to your point, like, why put my trust in a pilot on a plane? Or it's hard to wrap your head around that, especially for people that have not seen God moving in their lives. Mm-hmm. Now, God may have been moving in their lives. They may have just not seen it.
That's
right?
a good point, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because God, I do believe, and that God does talk to us. He does move in our lives, and he puts things in our path, takes things out of our path for us, and that's different for everybody. Mm-hmm. But when it comes down to it, people like, hey, especially with prayer, I think we probably see this a lot in prayers, like, hey, I'm praying for this thing and I'm not getting it, things aren't moving, and that's where faith steps in. Like, hey, I've something in my career or my family, and I'm praying and it's just not happening. And then faith is just, hey, it's going to come. And I've got some points on that in a little bit, on, having faith during the long run. And then too, a lot of people don't realize, like, you pray for things like, oh, please God, let me win the lottery. Sometimes the answer is no.
Most of the time.
Exactly. Yeah, most of the time. Like, the odds aren't with you that God's going to say, yeah, okay, we'll let you win the lottery. But just think about, kind of going through Hebrews, thinking about Abraham. God basically, like, hey, leave everything, go live in a tent in the wilderness, and I'm going to make a nation out of you. And like, that takes a lot of faith. Think about it. God said, hey, Philip, I want you to quit your job and move to, middle of nowhere.
Hey, Jeremy in California, I want you to move to Texas.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So, that's hard to think about in the process. And, that's where prayer and your relationship with God comes in. It's like, okay, God, is this exactly what I need to do? And I'm going to trust in you. And that's what Abraham did. Like, he prayed. And, even, as, he traveled and, with his wife and having kids, like, and, even his wife, like, had to have, a lot of faith in what God was saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, she had to, the Genesis account, the Lord speaks to Abraham. We don't see, maybe he does speak to Sarah at some point, but I don't think she was involved in the, hey, I want you to pick up everything, take your people, and move to the land that I'll show you. So she had to trust him, right? So in one way, Abraham is trusting, putting his faith in the Lord, and Sarah, once Abraham says, hey, we're going that way, well, where are we going? Don't know. God will tell us when we get there. She went along. Now, we don't have all the details. There could have been some conversations, of course, are you sure about this, so on and so forth, and I don't think any of us would expect anything different. Certainly when I said to my wife, hey, I think we're moving to Texas, she didn't just go, okay. I mean, there were some conversations about it. But Abraham's a great example of really faith, and really what the author of Hebrews is trying to drive at. Is that, really that chapter doesn't even exist without Abraham. He's really the first to put faith into action, to trust. And in fact, I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here, but in fact, it was the belief that God said, I'm going to credit that as righteousness, Abraham. It wasn't the fact that it wasn't the picking up and moving. It was the believing the covenant that God was making with him, that I will make you a father of many nations, and that your descendants will outnumber the stars and the sand on the beach, and so on and so forth. And that so it says, that Abraham believed the Lord, and that was credited to him as righteousness. His faith, his trust that he put in the word of the Lord, which was then manifested in the moving and in the, we haven't even gotten there yet if we do, the potential sacrifice of his son, and so on and so forth. Just a faith that doesn't make sense to us, But then again, I won't equate myself perfectly to Abraham, but I moved from California after 50 years to Texas for another pastorate that's a pretty big move. But I knew where I was going. It wasn't just, just pick up and move and we'll figure it out then. It was, everyone's done it. I'm no different. Many people have made big, huge moves, but there's a lot of trust and faith in that when you believe that it is of God, and you're looking for signs. And I was certainly doing that. I was looking for, okay, God, if this is of you, then all doors need to be open, and they were, which is miraculous in my mind. But but not to ramble too much, but I tend to do that. Let's not lose sight of the fact, though, too, what about the faith in Hebrews is there's two key words, assurance and confidence. So this is not, I hope it works out. This is, no, it's going to work out. I know it's going to work because this is of God. So our faith in God, our trust in God through Christ there's assurance and confidence there that the promises of God are what he says they are, and the rewards for the promises we will reap because God says we will. And so we can put our hope and our trust and our faith because it means confidence and assurance. This is why we don't put our ultimate eternal hope in a chair. Right? But we put it in God, who knows all things.
Yeah, you can even tie that back, like fast forward to Jesus. Like when he did all those miracles and healed all those people, like, hey, you have to have faith. And for those that didn't have faith, hey, you have little faith, like, get away from me, kind of thing. So we see that kind of go through. And
that's a good point. He even said to some of them, it's your faith that healed you.
And well, just kind of like put an emphasis on what you said. You can't go halfway into it like, well, okay, I'm gonna kind of dip my toe, or maybe I'll go to Texas for a couple of weeks and try it out, and then I'll make the decision. It's like, nope, we're all in, God, and this is what we're gonna do. So that's really great testament, and it did work out like for you. And two, like back to Abraham, like I couldn't imagine, and I think about a lot of these stories in the Bible, like when God speaks to Abraham or Noah or Moses, like, hey, you're going to do these things. But with Abraham, like he said, hey, take your son up to the top of the mountain and you're going to sacrifice him up there. And for him to get to the point of, like, I don't want to say pulling the trigger, but raising
knife. The hand with the knife. He was about to thrust the knife.
And the last second, Ram being there, like, I get kind of anxiety putting myself in that position.
Sure,
like I don't know if I could, like,
right.
I don't know what I would do if God told me that, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But this is a great example, and two, kind of looking at Noah, like, hey, Noah, I want you to build this giant boat, and you're going to get all these animals. So get working on it, and
it hadn't even rained yet. I think it's the truth. It hasn't rained yet. So okay, Noah, it's going to rain. It's going to flood. Well, what's rain? Don't worry about that part yet. You just build an ark.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Right. And putting words in trying to fill in some gaps in history here, but he had been made fun of, and people were like, oh, look at the crazy dude building this big old boat, and it's just sitting there, And,
Well, imagine like at that time, they didn't have boats of that size.
No.
Right? That was like a massive one. And I don't know if you've ever been to the Ark Experience up in Kentucky, but it's supposed to be built, true to the dimensions given in the Bible. This thing is massive.
Yeah, I've not been there. I've seen pictures of it. It looks huge.
It is massive. So if you haven't gone, I highly recommend it. But just to imagine at that time with their tools that they had and the skills that they had for Noah to say, all right, God, I got you. I'm gonna build this giant boat.
Yeah.
But even to go back through Hebrews, like Moses, what he did and what God told him to do, and there was a lot of reservations. Like, no, God, I'm not the God. I can't do it.
Yeah,
and then,
I can't.
But
What if they ask me your name? I can't talk well. Yeah, no, I just don't want to do it.
yeah, a lot of that. So faith, did play importance in that. Even think about Jacob's kind of shaky start with what he did, but then the faith that he had. Rahab, hey, we got these people coming in. You're gonna house them, and you could be killed for it. Like that's a lot of faith and trust. And I think it's important to understand these stories and translate it to kind of how God potentially could work in our lives, right? Like what are you gonna do if God tells you, hey, quit your job or do this or whatever that might be. It could be something personal, like go. I need you to go talk to this person because you never know what that person's going through or how God's moving in their lives, right? There's just countless ways that we have to have faith every day.
Yeah, even beyond the go and do this. We wake up every day and we don't know what the day is going to hold. So there's tragedy, there's chaos, there's disappointment. It could be in our homes, it could be in a community level, national level. Faith gets us through just the difficulties of life as well. I've heard many people say, I couldn't imagine going through this without faith in God. Why? Why is that? It's because of the assurance and the confidence. That's why that our trust and our faith isn't just this thing that we say. It's something real. It's hard to explain, but it is something real because of the assurance and the confidence that I know everything's going to be okay because my faith and my hope and my trust is in the God of Abraham of all people. And his promises are true. Jesus did raise from the dead. And so ultimately everything's going to be okay. It may be a huge bummer today and it may be a huge bummer tomorrow. But eventually it's all going to go away. And the confidence and assurance will be, well, let me put it this way. Faith will no longer be required because we will have earned our reward.
Right.
The presence of God. Now we can see him. Now we can experience him. Now we can feel him in a way that we can't now. Yeah, that's why it was in Corinthians. But I think Paul says, that faith, hope, and love. Those three remain, but the greatest of those is love, because faith and hope one day will be realized, but love even there will continue.
Right.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I was just thinking too, like when we talk about Jesus and what he talks about faith. After he was crucified and was raised from the dead, it wasn't like, hey, we have to have faith that he appeared to the two women. He appeared back to the disciples. Yeah. Like, hey, you don't have to have faith. I'm here.
Touch me.
This is real to be able to spread that message going forward. Right. So that to me, I just never thought about that before when it came to faith. But now we have to have faith in those authors and the accounts, the witnesses, and everything. And, it's important that we don't miss that, especially day to day. Because, again, you could have faith, but it could take time. Again, that long game, waiting on the promise. People wait for control or clarity. Like, I'm a big control guy. Like, I'm risk analyst, and I'm looking at things and how, and like, what if I do this, what's going to happen here? And sometimes you just gotta like, hey, I'm turning over to you, God. Whatever happens, happens. And if it's, and not to put any we were just talking about this with my daughter, a preconceived notion about things, not having a preconceived notion of, hey, well, if God's going to have me do this is the outcome, because that might not be the outcome that God has. He may say, hey, do this, but okay, well, if I do that, everything's gonna be great and this is gonna be perfect, but it might not be perfect. It might not be great at first, but it's leading into something else.
Yeah.
So that,
Which goes into what I do think goes into what I said, that faith is, faith gets us through the something else sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That you use the word, it's a good way of putting a long game. That faith is, it gets us through the long game. It gets us, and it's an everyday thing. And it's, you don't wake up one day and have it. I mean, I think it's, once you're convinced that God is real and that Jesus is the Lord and Savior of all mankind, and you receive Him and you say yes to the eternal life as He offers it, that's not the end. That's really the beginning. So now you grow in your faith. It's when you say yes to Jesus, that's credited to you as righteousness, so to speak, as would be said in the Old Testament. But then you grow in that because you become more like Christ. We're thrust into positions where we have to trust.
yeah.
And that's, again, why people say, I can't imagine getting through life as we know it without faith. And there are people who try. And I think we referred to some of this, in a different context in a previous episode. But this is why certain groups exist and gangs exist, because they're looking for that strength and that something to get them through, and the people that they can call upon and rely on. And we all need those. That's not to say that even if you do have faith in Jesus, you still don't need those people. You absolutely do. But that's the church.
Yeah.
That's the community of like-minded believers of which you belong to, and you call home and you call family, and so we're there for one another. And then we have all the one another's of Scripture, the dozens of one another: love one another, bear one another's burdens, pray for one another, confess to one another. So all the one another's, those are meant to be done in the context of the family of God, the church, because faith is incredibly important. None of this exists without faith, but faith gives us the church. It gives us the relationship with Jesus. It gives us so much more. And again, because of the assurance and the confidence. Right. Confidence in all of that.
Yeah, it gives us that hope and
that's right.
And all that. So no, that great point on that. So we'll say like faith's hard for a lot of folks.
Yeah.
And if you are struggling with that, if you're struggling with understanding, you have questions, please reach out to us. You can email us at theneatdisciples@gmail.com. Drop us a message, on Facebook or here on YouTube, wherever you're watching this video, and we will reach out to you about faith. So it's important to understand what faith is and being able to place your trust in that faith that God is who He says He is, that He is going to do what He says He is going to do, and with the assurance that Jesus gave us with His sacrifice, that we will enter the kingdom someday.
Yeah, and this is why I think we're kind of summing this up. So this is why the resurrection is so important. Jesus said, I am the Son of God, and I will show that to you on the third day. And none of the people he was talking, very few of the people he was talking to at the time understood what he was talking about. And so without the resurrection, He's not who He said, because He said, I will raise again on the third day. And if He didn't, then He's just another dude that died on a cross, and plenty of people did back then. He did. And that's why the witnesses you referred to are so darn important. So we can put our hope and trust in the living God, that Jesus is alive. He did raise from the dead. And so therefore, what does that mean for us? That we can put our hope and our trust and our faith in Him, and be assured and be confident that because that promise was true, all the promises are true. And there's great hope in that.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well said.
Thank you.
All right, so we're going to do something first for us on the show. We're going to do a blind. We've got 3 weeded bourbons, because we were talking a few weeks ago how much I like weeded bourbons, and Jeremy likes weeded bourbons. So why not start with a weeded bourbon?
Sure.
This is our first one. It's going to be a little archaic.
A little wonky.
But we're making some improvements later on. But it's still going to be an exciting blind. I'm super excited to try these. There's 2 of these bourbons I've never tried before. So,
all right. I don't know if I've had any of them. So.
Yeah, so we'll get started on that. All right, y'all. So we had our assistant set up 3 weeded bourbons so we could do a blind. We'll taste each one of them, and then we'll stack rank them to see which one comes out on top and how we like them.
Sure.
So let's start off with this side.
We're calling this number 1.
Number 1.
Okay.
We'll start with number 1.
All right. So this is number 1.
It's got a nice little color.
It looks like bourbon.
It does. It's kind of light. It's not dark. Smells really good. It doesn't smell like it's got a ton of, like, not a heavy on the ethanol.
Yeah, it doesn't hit you really hard.
Smooth.
So low heat.
Yeah, low heat.
Low heat. I'm trying to do my best to try and identify some notes. And kind of like a caramely.
Yep.
I do kind of get a little bit of caramely, maybe like a brown sugar, or like a faint brown sugar. Almost like a caramel corn.
Yes, I was thinking caramel right before you said it, and it does have like a.
All right, so I'm not just making
a
stuff
caramel
up.
corn. No, that was
some people
spot on.
watching like, you're just making stuff
Right?
up, dude. But almost like a caramel corn.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of warm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one.
That is good. That's I think the word smooth is overused. I think we use that a lot. And that's not to say it's not. It's smooth. There's no better way to say that.
Yeah.
That's a smooth one.
Yeah, I think we'll have to check the proof points on all of them, but I think these are all a lower proof point. Cool. Okay.
All right.
So we'll try number 2 in the middle. And that one's looks like it's a little darker in color than the first one, right?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, sure.
It's got a similar smell.
Well, they are bourbons.
Yeah, and they're wheated bourbons.
This one smells sweeter than
Okay.
number 1 did. Smells vanilla-y.
Yeah, and it looks like the viscosity of it. It runs down a little slower.
Okay.
Oh, that one's a little sweeter, I think. It's got a little bit of a sweeter flavor.
I don't know. I mean, comparing it to number 1, of course, number 1 had more flavor to me.
Did it?
Yeah. Like, this was good. Again, smooth.
Yeah.
I mean, it didn't fight on the way down. There's no heat. I don't get any heat or peppery to it. That's some of the higher proof stuff. I mean, so like an easy sipper, really. You taste a little bit of the corn.
Yeah, you can definitely taste the corn. Mm-hmm. Okay.
I don't know. I feel like number 1 so far was a little more complex.
I
than
think
this one.
so. Yeah, I think so too. This one seems a little sweeter to me, just a little bit on that first little sip. So, okay, two good ones. I drink both of those.
Yeah, right. Number 1 so far, I mean, had more layers of flavor to it. I don't know. That might be something to try at some point too. Is once we know which is which here, if we were to have that one first,
Yes.
how would that change how we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Water to clear the palate. All right, number 3.
All right. Looks eerily similar to the other 2.
This one does have a different smell to it.
Than the number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I like this one. Smells sweeter.
Yeah. For just on the nose, I like this one better just from the nose.
I don't know that I can argue that.
And I can smell kind of that caramel corn
Yeah.
flavor.
Agreed.
Or smell at least. Huh.
A very different taste
Yeah.
than the other. This one's got the peppery. I think to me, I get a lot of the peppery notes.
Our assistant poured a little bit lighter, which is fine.
Well, we this whole podcast is a work in progress.
Exactly.
So, yes.
But she still did good. Okay. Yeah.
So a little more complex, I think, than number 2. This one, I think, has a a longer finish though too.
Yeah.
Like the taste is there, like it's still working out.
Yeah.
But real peppery. Not a bad thing, just real peppery.
No, yeah. It does have a lot. It's more complex. Not, I wouldn't say very, but it's more complex than number one and number two. So if you had to stack rank them, what's your favorite?
I'm gonna go with number one.
This one?
Yeah.
Number one's your favorite?
Yeah,
Okay.
it'd be my favorite.
And then what would come in second for you?
Number three.
Okay. And then last in the middle,
Number two.
number
Yeah.
two. Okay. So for me, number three, this one here is actually my favorite. It just with all the flavors, the smell the smell hit me. Even after trying these other ones, so I would probably go first place, second place, and then the middle one in the last.
So we agree that this one here was, of these three, the least favorite.
Yes.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was still good.
Oh
but-
no,
but,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, all real good. But if I had to, put them up against each other, that would be my range. So let's do the reveal and see what we have.
All right.
All right, let's move this over. Wow. Oh, okay.
Okay, I wasn't prepared for that.
I was not expecting that either.
Wow.
Okay, so
I feel so ashamed.
well, it goes to show you, man.
Yeah.
Like we talk about biases.
Yeah.
And man, because I love the Weller Special Reserve.
I thought I did.
Yeah, well, I still do. I mean, it's
You're
still
right.
a great bourbon.
That's right,
But
yeah.
as far as like flavor complexity, so let's start off with the Penelope. I picked this up the other day. Wheated bourbon, 95 proof. It's a 4 grain.
And we had just opened it, right?
We had just opened it.
So it'll be interesting to see how it changes.
Changes, yep.
After sitting for a little bit.
Yeah, we had just opened that one. So the Penelope was Jeremy's pick.
It was.
The Bardstown, I've been wanting to try this. Then we went to Bardstown last year.
We did.
Tried a lot of their bourbons. I didn't try the wheated. I saw it the other day when I was at the liquor store. So I picked it up. So this one's coming in at 106 proof. Wow, okay. So maybe that's why
I wouldn't have guessed it was that much.
it came in on your second list because you're not a higher proof guy. But 106 proof.
It didn't drink that. I mean, 106 isn't really all that hot. But what's this one? Did we?
It's a 95.
95. Did you say that? Okay.
Yeah.
I missed that. All right.
Yeah, so 106 on this, so a little higher proof.
Yeah.
But for me, from a smell and a flavor, that one was my pick. And then of course we have the Weller, and all the Wellers at 90 proof. The Special Reserve. I keep this on the shelf, man. I love the Weller Special
Right. Same here.
Reserve.
And having said that, I mean, like we just opened these two.
Yes.
This one's been sitting on my shelf for a while.
Yep. Yeah.
So you just wonder how that could
Play into
change
it.
things. Yeah.
Interesting.
That bottle's probably a couple years old.
Yeah, a little inconsistent with that, but I mean,
But it's still good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we said that. It's still good just between these three. When you put them up next to each other, you can begin to identify just the subtle little differences, which is part of the fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, when you think about price point too, these are all, I think all these are under $50. I think the Penelope was a little on the cheaper side for Penelope especially. And the Weller, of course, it's around $30, $36 here. And then the Bardstown might have been the pricier of the three, but I still think it was around $40. I can't remember. So all under $50 bottles, all really solid, wheat bourbons, if you like wheat bourbon. So
All would look good on my shelf.
yeah, every darn one of them.
They
yes.
would, yeah.
Yes, they would. So, hey, thanks for enjoying. That was a shock to me. So that was worth doing.
Yeah,
So thanks for joining that weeded test. All right, y'all. So it's Derby season, and I wanted to make a twist on the mint julep, a citrusy twist of the mint julep. So that's going to take your favorite bourbon. Of course, we had Buffalo Trace closest to us, so we're going to use Buffalo Trace today. Lime juice, orange juice, simple syrup, and fresh mint. So let's get started. All right, so we're going to start off with a little bit of simple syrup. So this is going to be a double, so I'm going to double it up. So for one drink, you're going to start off with a 1/2 ounce of simple syrup. Since we're doubling it up, we're going to go with 1 ounce. I'm going to pour this all into a shaker. Then we're going to put in some fresh mint leaves. Just drop the fresh mint leaves right into the simple syrup with one more. Then we're going to muddle the mint leaves into simple syrup.
Smells good.
It does. It's very, very minty.
Very minty.
All right, muddle. All right, so then we're going to go with 2 ounces of your bourbon of choice. Again, since we're making a double, I'm going to mix it double.
A little more than double. Nothing wrong with that.
A little more than double.
Yeah.
Then we're going to mix in 1 ounce of orange juice. So since we're doing 2, we're going to do 2 ounces. Half ounce of lime juice. Since we're making double, I'm going to do a full ounce. Which is going to be this line here. It didn't feel like cutting lime, so we're using the canned lime juice.
There we go.
All right, we're going to add a little bit of ice into our shaker. We're going to shake it up. So do it like the fancy bartenders.
Yeah. Then you're supposed to smile. That's what's really creepy when you do it.
All right, now we're going to double strain this into a glass with a large ice cube. Spilling it all over the place.
Looks good. Looks refreshing.
It does. Let's garnish it with a mint leaf.
All right.
And there we have the citrus twist mint julep.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
That is very refreshing.
Yes, it is. That's dangerous right there. You'll finish this in 30 seconds and be on to your next one.
Oh, phenomenal.
Yeah, very good.
Very citrusy. I think this would be a great summertime
Very
cocktail.
just mowed the lawn, need
Yes.
to cool down. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually, like, I'm not a huge mint julep fan. Like, I'll drink them, but this, I could drink. So,
Yeah. Yep, that's very good.
very good. Hey, well, thanks for joining us today. Hope you liked the show. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, all at The Neat Disciples. Be sure to like, share, follow, drop a comment in there, especially around faith.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear from you. You can also email us at theneatdisciples@gmail.com. Until next time.
Cheers, everybody.